On 12 News at 4, we are all about bringing you solutions and empowering you to better your lives. Every day, we bring some of the Valley's most experienced professionals to discuss trending topics on health, ways to save money and improve your financial life, the law, relationships. We even have an expert on pets. And it's not just us asking the questions, we give you, the viewer, the opportunity to weigh in and ask questions too. Now, we're putting all these segments together in one place for you. This is Ask the Expert. Feel Good Friday, we want to put the sizzle back in your relationship. Remember way back when, seems like a long time ago, when romance and intimacy seemed so easy and often with your partner? The date nights, holding hands, snuggling, and then what happened? Now it's replaced with long work days that make you feel exhausted, running around with the kids, the day-to-day grind. Yeah, it feels so much harder these days to keep that spark alive. So how do we bring it back? Let's ask the expert. Joining me now is marriage and family therapist Juliana Liddon. Okay, what happened? What happened to the sizzle over time?
Remember how fun it was?
Yes.
And you know what? There's something called oxytocin. So when you are in that touchy-feely space, that hormone just surges through your body and creates this euphoria.
Yeah.
But we don't all stay in that space, right? It's pretty normal for it to fade over time.
Yes, and why is the biggest reason? Why is that?
Oh my gosh. One of the things I find with my couples is a lot of times when you have that kind of slow bleed, I call it, where you're really disconnected.
So sad.
There's some, I know, there's some interpersonal stuff going on under the surface. And I always tell my couples, we got to get back into the touch. We got to get back into
physically touch.
Yes, physically touching each other. It's so important. But we wake up one day and we're like, what happened to us?
Yeah, no kidding. I
Why
know,
are we so
especially
unhappy?
the day-to-day.
Yeah.
Okay, you say double everything. What does that mean?
Yeah. Double the kisses, double the hugs, double the length of time you're cuddling. Because we want to get that oxytocin going again. I give couples homework just to do that. And they're sometimes like, oh, I don't know if we haven't done that in a long time, you know. And
because it's so fast, like, you know, you're rushing out the door to go to work. Okay, peck. Okay, you're out.
That's right.
You know, like even with the kids. Okay, have a good day. Bye. Everything's like in, you know, full speed range.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
it's true.
So you know, double. Even if it's that 1 second peck.
That's
right.
2 seconds, little tap.
Right?
Yeah. Do it. It's really cool when you lengthen it to see what happens.
I know. No, that's interesting. I'm gonna try that. Okay, so you have 4 tips on how couples can connect.
Yes.
With taking turns being loving.
Yes. Yeah. So often we find in a couple that one is more of the instigator of this kind of stuff.
Yes.
I say go in and surprise your partner. Surprise them.
They'll be like, what? What's wrong with you?
Because you know what? We walk around, sometimes we're invisible, like you were saying.
Totally.
So switch it up and be the one that does some of that loving stuff first.
Yes. You also say slow down, which again, life is a blur.
It is a blur. We've got to be more in the moment, make everything in slow motion. One thing I do with my couples in the office, I have them turn to each other, put their hands on each other's legs, take a moment, look in their eyes, and I want to know what you remember that made you fall in love with your person. And it slows everything down.
Wow.
We got to slow down.
That is so true. I think I would start crying.
Oh, well, most often you do.
I could so
you know,
see
you don't
that.
have that for very long anymore.
That connection.
Right? So just look at each other.
Oh my God.
For a little bit.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, and we talked about this, the affectionate touch.
Yes. So again, it's just about, even if you're on the couch, just snuggling, right? Because here's the thing people don't realize. When we're connecting, even in a more intimate way, it's very healing.
Yeah.
It's very good at repairing what's disconnected. So do it more often.
And I could just see how, I mean, just that touch, it kind of just opens the door to just being like physically and emotionally close.
It does.
You know?
And when we're disconnected, you don't realize how thirsty we are.
I could so see
for
that.
it. So
yes.
it's Friday night.
It's like
Start
therapy.
doing it.
I know. Speaking of which, you say date night, so important.
So important.
Yeah.
You have to put it on the list.
Yes.
I say at least twice
Like
a
an
month.
appointment.
Really make it like an appointment.
Yeah.
Really, for sure. Remember, I've said this before in our sessions. I almost said
Yeah.
that
This
we
is
are
a session, an on TV session. Yeah.
that we are the nucleus as the parents.
Right.
If you are good, it trickles down to the kids. If you're bad, it trickles down to the
Yeah.
kids. Make sure you keep that healthy.
I know.
And those date nights, it doesn't have to be extravagant. Call grandma, get a babysitter.
Yes.
Just go out.
Okay, real quick, if you don't mind me sharing. First of all, happy 37th anniversary just
you.
recently, right?
Thank you. Yes.
And
yes.
I love how you celebrated. Do you mind
Aw,
sharing
No,
real quick?
yes, you know, we
It's a
had
good
fun.
example.
It was almost like a scavenger hunt of ways. We did a staycation,
Yeah.
which is so great at the Camelback Inn, and then we tried different restaurants somewhere we had never been before, and we went around to several speakeasies.
Oh my
We
God.
love it. So it was so much fun. Yeah.
Yes.
It-
By the
it's-
way, her husband's over there in the corner. First time I met him, they're going to go out on a date tonight. How appropriate. Now to Ask the Expert, here to answer your questions live on the air about keeping the spark alive in your relationship is therapist Juliana Liddon. All right, our first viewer says, I've been dating someone for months now. It started off great, but now we're in the rut of life. How do we keep that spark we had not too long ago?
That's what we talked all about.
Yeah.
You have to work it. This doesn't just happen overnight, right?
Or
I mean,
organically.
Right.
yes.
I mean, you can't just, it's not a magic wand.
Right.
So you have to plan those things. You have to plan the date night. You have to do what I said about starting to touch. Just having those kinds of things makes such a big difference. Looking at each other, listening to one another. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
It's the little things that make a big difference.
And can I just ask, I mean, after 37 years of marriage for you, it's still work, right? I mean, you still have to plan those date nights.
You have to
right?
plan because it's so easy to just almost walk around each other.
Yeah.
Even when you're sharing the same house, you're sharing the same bed. You just, I'm tired, I'm going to sleep, or I'm falling
Life
asleep.
is busy. Yes, I'm falling asleep at 9 o'clock. I know.
That's right.
All right. What about married couples trying to manage kids, work, family, and stress? Yes, I can relate to that.
We
yes.
talked, I always am saying this. This is where the priority comes in. If you didn't see the segment, you really need to realize that you are the center, you're the hub of the family. So
Right.
make sure the two of you are healthy, are connecting, are talking about what's going on,
Yeah.
because it's going to trickle down to the kids. So
Right.
make us a priority.
And don't you think so many times when life gets busy with the kids, sometimes you make the kids a priority.
I know.
Right?
You do. You do, and naturally there are stages where you have
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
But you still have to remember, you two are the most important piece because you've got to stay healthy in order to maintain
Trickle
that
down.
in the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. This viewer asked, how do I bring this topic up to my partner without making them feel like I'm attacking them? Ooh.
Think of it like this. It's an invitation, not an accusation. So
Wow.
you're inviting them in, and maybe you're going to say, hey, you know what? I noticed that, we're really not connected intimately like we used to be.
Right.
Do you miss that? I would love for us to start working on
Yeah.
that. But it's not you, it's I would love that, or we
Right.
can do that. So
Yeah.
you're inviting in.
Which, again, it's the tone and how you
Tone.
present it, right? It's not
Yes.
like, why aren't you doing this?
Well, it's
why
your
don't
fault.
we go out anymore?
That's right. Well, you fell
You
asleep.
don't take me anywhere. Yeah. Oh my.
right.
Don't do that.
Lower the decibel. Lower the
Exactly. Okay, this viewer says, what should women do if they're concerned about taking control and have bought into the stereotype that men should?
No,
old
stop it.
fashioned.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to, go for
go,
it.
yeah.
You
It's
know?
2024.
Oh, for Lord's sakes, yes. Have fun.
I love it. Okay, this viewer says, if we keep struggling, when is it time for us to talk with a therapist?
Well, that's the key word, if we keep struggling.
Oh, yeah.
Pay attention to that struggle. How often is it happening? And you're both aware of it. It's just we push it under the rug.
Right.
And then it just goes on, and before you know it, what happens? You're like, where are we? Who are we?
Yeah, you don't even recognize.
That's right.
Yeah.
You don't. And then you're getting into bad patterns. So pay attention and call and find out who you need to talk to. Get a therapist, get a coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Juliana, have fun tonight on
Oh, thank you.
I'm so excited. I'm a little jealous, but I'm excited. I got to work, but I'll be thinking of you.
Right now, summer travel season is ramping up. U.S. air carriers plan to see more than 271 million passengers, an increase compared to last year. Many people this summer won't be traveling with just family or a few close friends, though. Instead, lots of them are hitting the road in big groups, sometimes booking 10 or more rooms at the same hotel. But of course, this kind of group travel can get expensive. So on this Money Saving Monday, let's take a look at several ways to save. Joining me now is travel expert Susan Green. So what sets the precedent really for group travel?
So it depends on what kind of travel you're doing. Typically, it's about 8 rooms. Sometimes it's 5. Most of the time, it's 10.
Okay.
But it usually means that you have that. A lot of times people say, hey, I've got 3 rooms. That's not going to cover for a group travel.
Certainly not. And so when you are thinking about multiple people going out on, what's the best way to kind of approach the most financially feasible traveling?
Well, you got to look at, there's all different types of groups. And so like I just have people right now, we have groups that are groups from work. So like an incentive trip, you have people that have won a trip and now you've got 10 groups of 10 cabins that are going to go on a cruise. You've also got people that are destination weddings are really big. Those are very popular. Believe it or not, we have people that have gone on a sewing trip together.
Oh, look at
common people that want to come together.
And you said pickleball, like-minded people.
Yeah, pickleball,
Okay.
you know, wine people and stuff
Sure.
like that. So if you're looking to go on a group or you're looking to put together a group because you want to get some of those savings, you might want to be looking for people who have the like-minded type of activities that you want to do. And then you can look at the things that you're going to get for being in a group travel.
Okay, and then you want to plan and book early. So let's elaborate on doing just that.
Well, so this happens on all type of travel, but group, for example, is a really big one. And the reason being is this: hotels and cruises are really limited on how many rooms they're going to give to group. Meaning, if I go on a trip and I go to Mexico and I go to a hotel, they don't want that hotel to be all group.
Sure.
Because then I'm going and I'm experiencing, oh, I'm not a part of that wedding.
Right. I'm kind of like,
So yeah, so I got left out,
Oh,
right?
FOMO.
So yeah, so they don't want to do that. So they limit the amount of people that can be
Okay.
in groups. So it's different than, wait, the hotel says they have space. Well, that's different than group travel.
Okay, so
So
keep
you
that
do
in
want to
mind.
plan in advance. Plus, anytime you go farther out, you're going to get a better rate. And there's
Okay.
ways that, you know, we talk to people all the time about group travel and we say, hey, you can hold space in advance. It allows your friends and family or your like-minded individuals to come in and say, hey, we want to go, put down a low deposit, and then they get a certain amount of time to pay that off.
Oh, and see, and that's nice too. If you're planning well enough
Yeah,
in
18
advance,
months
you can
in
kind of,
advance.
yes, exactly,
Exactly.
kind of save up.
Yeah.
Traveling during off-peak seasons always significant, especially when you're talking about large numbers.
Yeah, and it does. And we always have to look. Every area is going to have an off-peak season, and that's something that you want to ask a travel professional about, because every area we used to say it used to be on weather, but they've gotten really, really tricky. And what they've said is, hey, we're going to look when kids are out of school, and we're going to up those prices because that's when people are going to travel. Because we have 2 working families now, and so they take their kids on vacation.
Right, right. Exactly,
And so they're gonna
as it
charge you
sees
more.
fit, and they're going to charge you more. Flights, accommodations, when we're talking about those, often cheaper. So finding attractions too that you kind of want to tackle as the group.
Yeah.
Finding those in advance.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that they have the availability for you, and you also want to look at that, and that's why you want to talk with someone and go, hey, is this the best time for us to go? What if there's like 4 other groups that are going to Disney that day? What if there are a bunch of people going to Mexico? What are we going to do? What are we going to do to make this? Because we always say your trip is our priority, and that's the person that you should really be working with, is someone that says, we want to make sure where you're going and what you're doing, whether it's with 10 cabins or whether it's with 50, that it's going to be great.
I like that third one on the list, being flexible. My family's full of a bunch of stubborn people. So how important is flexibility when you're picking who's going to go on said trip?
Well, you got to understand, we got to be flexible. So there's a couple things that come into play on that, whether it's the time that people pick when they're going, or there's flexibility in when you have a group. What happens is this: people go, oh my gosh, this is going to be so great, right? I'm going to get a group together, and then they're going to get maybe one of their cabins or one of their rooms for free. What they realize is that people have opinions.
Yes.
Shocking.
Quickly.
People I don't like the beach. I don't like Mexico. I
Sure.
don't like California. I've been
Vegas.
there. Yeah, I don't want to go to Vegas. And so what happens is you got to be flexible. You got to go and you got to be able to go, take a deep breath. What is your goal? Is your goal being together? Is your goal, I want to be in the water? Is your goal, I want great food? And so you got to be a little bit flexible when you're trying to get a bunch of people together.
I love that. Great tips. If you guys need anyone to go to Vegas with you, I'm your girl. But if you have any
not me.
questions
Yeah.
for our experts, Susan is going to be here for the full hour. So just shoot us a text, 602-444-1212. Let us know your name and where you're texting us from. Now June is National Microchipping Month, emphasizing the importance of getting your pets chipped to keep them protected and ultimately returned if they get out or get lost. We know 4th of July is coming up and pets can get easily spooked, so pets with microchips far more likely to be reunited with their owners if they do get lost. Brett the vet is live in the house to help us better understand the importance of the process and having it done if you haven't done so already. So let's talk about just how important it is to do this.
I like microchips. They're a permanent form of identification for your dog.
Yes.
That being said, there's a couple of things you really have to do to make sure they're working properly for you.
Okay.
Which is not just to put it in the dog, but you have to register it and keep your information updated, your cell phone, your emails, your addresses when you move, and keep that information updated with the register.
Which I thought, this is it. This is the
it.
microchip, this little tiny thing. And so how easy is it to administer or get your animal microchip just with this poke?
Yeah, stick your arm out and I'll show
Oh
you.
gosh.
Actually,
Oh, my husband would love that.
It's a rather large needle.
Right,
but
it
doesn't
looks
hurt.
frightening.
With the proper technique, it's over before you know it. You
Okay.
Just insert, plunge the needle, hold it, and it's in there. It's a rice-sized grain of
Okay.
like a microchip little reader the
To
size
keep
of a piece
track.
of rice. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and we know that people love the little dog bone tags, and that's great. Now you can customize collars, but as you said, this is that permanent security and peace of mind that you need. And how often are pets getting out when we talk about 4th of July celebrations and things
All
like
the
that?
time this time of year, and when it's really hot, they're running loose, they can overheat, and that's really dangerous. This time of year, you might have a service provider in your backyard, leave the gate open, fixing your pool or whatever. And we actually have this a lot where in our neighborhood, in my practice, people bring a dog in, and there's nothing better when you scan the chip
And it turns up
and you
an
call,
ID.
yeah, and you've got a phone number, you can reunite that pet quickly. It's a little disappointing when you have the chip number, but it's not registered, so you really don't, it's harder to find that owner, but it does help.
It does help. Okay, because as you said, if you can microchip them, but it's the registering part that pet owners really need to make sure is, and especially if you're moving or you're mobile or you're out of town all summer long.
Update that information.
Okay.
And a lot of people think that these are what are called passive microchips. They're not active, meaning this is kind of like a barcode on a product, like a can of beans or
Certainly.
something that you scan.
Okay.
It's not going to track your dog and you can watch it on your phone. That
Right, it's not a
technology-
geo-tracker.
Yeah, that doesn't exist except on collars, and
Sure.
those can come off. So
Right.
this is permanent, and we have very few problems with them. Occasionally they'll migrate, but very, very, very few problems.
And so in situations where people might say, well, I can't afford it, let's talk about the average cost of doing this service for not only yourself, but your animal especially.
These have become very affordable,
Okay.
very affordable, and it's definitely worth doing. The shelter organizations, rescue organizations have very cost-conscious microchips, some as little as $10 or $15, $20 now.
Okay,
You
so
have to
very
check around.
reasonable.
Yeah, yep. So
Especially when it comes to getting your pet home safely.
that's right, $20 to $50 for a permanent form of ID. And I think the other nice thing, it used to be that they charged you every year to keep the register updated, but I think that's since
That's
gone.
kind of, okay, that's dissipated
little
just a bit. I thought this was fascinating. I was wondering myself about the scanners, and it doesn't actually punch up your personal information, but it's kind of a VIN number for your animal.
That's right. It's a
that
VIN
tracks
number, and you put it in the Google, so to speak.
And put it in the Google.
Put her in the Google, and it'll tell you what manufacturer the
Okay.
chip is registered. And then you go to that website of the manufacturer, and you put that information in, and it can tell you who the owners, or you call that company, and they can give you or reunite the owner with the pet.
Okay.
And it's also, the standards are now, there's ISO standards, meaning all microchip, there's several manufacturers, this is just one of them.
Sure.
But all the manufacturers now, there's a universal scanner like this one that will read all chips, or versus one of the older ones.
For the more specific types of brands.
No ID found.
Okay.
It won't read it. So, so if you have one of these, and you're on my side of the industry, you need.
Oh, it's
One of
Android
these.
versus Apple in the microchip world.
right.
I love it. Okay. Time now to ask the expert. Brett the vet is here with us on this Tuesday afternoon as we continue discussing the importance of microchipping your pets and how the process works. So here to answer the questions live on air is Brett the vet. First question, who's capable of scanning my dog's microchip?
Every veterinary practice,
Okay.
the rescue organizations.
Oh yeah, we talked about the
shelters.
private ones as
Yeah,
well.
private, public organizations, institutions, the dog catcher. All those people have capabilities with these newer ISO chip scanners to scan a dog.
Okay, okay. Therese says this is Shy Vest. Oh my gosh, Shy Vester Bella. Okay, and PJ. Oh my goodness, look at all the babies. Okay, if your dog is chipped, how do you go about finding out by who and updating if it needs to be updated after you move or something like that? So when do you update?
Therese, you got a whole crew here.
Look at all those babies.
Look at the boss right here.
Look at, yeah, exactly, the kitty cat.
So, Teresa, to answer your question, if you keep your chip number with you, it's usually registered with the veterinary hospital, and then the organization, the manufacturer of the chip, is really who you have to update your information with. So you want to know who the manufacturer of the chip is.
Okay.
And then when you move, new phone number, new email, what have you, make sure you call the manufacturer to update the registry with your new information.
And in paper files and stuff too, just for your own.
The good news is usually if your cell phone or your email doesn't change and you do move and forget, they can contact you via phone or email usually, even if your address has changed. But always keep it updated. That's something that people commonly forget to do.
Okay. We talked a little bit about this next one, the average cost of microchipping. You said it's become more and more affordable.
Yeah, a lot of these rescue organizations have programs for people that can demonstrate need. I've heard as low as $10 for a microchip. I don't know where. I can look into that and maybe share that with the crew here.
Yeah.
But $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, depending on the chip manufacturer, who's administering the chip, et cetera.
Okay.
But check with the local rescue, maybe the local humane society, and see what their recommendations are too. They're pretty resourceful when it comes to saving money sometimes.
Okay. I also like this next question. How do I teach my dog to come back versus running away and maybe just avoid needing the microchip? Obviously still have it, but how do you teach them to just come back, the recall?
So I take what I do.
Yes.
That's the term come. Like
Right.
come, sit,
Yeah.
heel, stay.
Sure.
So what I do is I go into the backyard. I take like a 50-foot lead line, a clothesline rope.
Okay.
I'll tie it to the collar, just like the leash, but give the dog all that freedom. And usually when the dog's on the leash and you say come and heel, it's following you. But
Yeah,
when
but
it's
it's a
20, 30
4-foot,
feet away, it's like,
Sure, forget it.
but that's when you reel them in like a fish and they realize,
Got me a marlin.
yeah. And you say come, and they
Okay.
realize that you have control over them wherever they are in the backyard.
Oh, I like that.
So that long lead line training is the best way to focus on the come.
Okay, gotcha. I love that. All right, next question. Are the buzz collars a good way to get your pet to stay close by?
Yeah, they are. They are a startle effect, and they must be used correctly.
Sure.
So you got to be consistent and repetitive and not confuse them or send mixed messages. So I would say if you're using them properly, they're a great tool. But I do like a collar and a leash. We've seen this before where Tram and I have danced together, so to speak.
Yes.
Where the lead dancer is you in charge with the leash and the
Right.
collar, and your dog should follow your lead, your
Okay.
cue. So whether you use a buzz collar or a pinch collar or a proper training collar, as long as you're consistent, repetitive, the dividends will pay off.
Okay, worth
in
the investment.
in the form of a well-trained dog.
I love it. Brett the vet for us here this afternoon. Thank you so much. Welcome back to 12 News at 4. According to Forbes Health, 70% of people who meet someone on a dating app say it leads to a romantic relationship, with men being more likely to find success than women. However, some say that dating apps are losing popularity due to issues with algorithms and added fees. So on this Wellness Wednesday, we're discussing dating do's and don'ts and how to navigate the dating world. Life coach Juliana Liddon is here to help, and she helps a lot of clients all the time. So, Juliana, let's start with the stage of dating that people might be in.
Yes, you've got to pay close attention to this. So are you just out of a relationship and maybe you need to keep working on yourself because you don't want to attract that same person? Maybe you want to just kind of play the field. Maybe you want to get married. So I tell people all the time, pay attention where you are. Don't just go out there blind.
Okay, certainly. And yeah, because they still call it baggage, right? After
That's
all these
right.
years. So you don't want to bring that into your next relationship.
don't.
You got to love yourself.
That's right.
What about this list? I know in our discussion leading up to this, we're talking about making a list.
Yes,
What does that
a list
entail?
is so important. I do it with my clients in session all the time, and I tell them not only you get to be picky, you get to pick out what you want, what you don't want, what your desires are, but most importantly, what your deal breakers are. So when you know what you don't want, it makes it much easier to attract that person.
Absolutely. Okay, and we know this one might be a little bit more obvious, but emotional intimacy and that development prior to the physical portion of a relationship.
Because when we're in that emotional place, what's happening is we feel safe, we feel connected, we feel heard. And a lot of times people jump into the physical, which isn't all bad.
Sure.
But what happens is they come back and they're like, oh, I'm so hooked. And then the person goes, wait, I thought we were just having fun. What's going on? You know,
Just goofing around.
That's right. So you really have to be aware of when you're going to get tangled up in that and try to build some of that first.
Okay, and keep them a little separated.
Yep.
Let's talk about icebreakers. I loved your list of how to kind of start a date if you're just getting into the dating game.
Yes. And so I think one of the really fun things to ask someone is, what is your favorite part of your daily routine?
Yes. What a simple question.
Yes, so simple. The thing with some of these questions that are so good is they're a lot deeper, and you find out so much in that. Like, what are they doing in their morning routine or in their day?
And
right?
do they drink coffee? Because that matters.
Right.
When you book the cruise 5 years later and they're like, what do you mean you need a deck to drink coffee on? Okay, so such a simple question.
Yeah,
I love that. I liked this next one about age and what you like about your age.
Yes, so then you find out, is there like a hang up on how old they are? Can they share how old they are? What is it they love about it? And that tells a lot about a person. So
it certainly does.
I love that one, especially for us females too, because sometimes we don't always feel comfortable with where we are. So,
well, certainly that and our weight, but that's a different topic. Okay, this last one I want to touch on before we go is a question you typically get during a job interview. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? But this is also a good icebreaker question.
It is, because then you're going to see this trajectory of really where they plan on going. What are their goals? What does that look like? And another one that I love is you can say, what is your first impression of me right now?
Oh, God. I bet that would render them speechless. They wouldn't even know what to
They'd be like, uh-oh.
I love it. We're going to have Julianne here for the rest of the hour. We want you to ask her 02-444-1212 so we can get your questions answered in about 20 minutes. It is now time to ask the expert. Here to answer your dating questions live on the air is life coach and therapist Juliana Liddon, a big friend of 12 News. First question, how do you know if someone you met online is worth meeting in person?
You've got to do FaceTime.
Oh.
I mean, you really do. Like, I have some people that'll say, before they go out on a date, they're like, I need to see you. We need to do FaceTime.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds kind of funny, and some people don't like that, but you've got to do it. You've got to, figure it out, or just start out slow with that coffee.
Yeah, okay. FaceTime,
Right?
FaceTime is that's a good tool. Use it.
Yeah.
Braxton in Mesa wants to know, what are some effective strategies for maintaining healthy communication in a long-term relationship?
Boy, this is a big one, because there's so much we can do here, but you really have to make it a priority. You really do. We get so busy in our lives. We're moving in so many directions. It's like two ships, that pass in the night. We all know how that is. So you need to make sure that you have quality time. We're going to sit down and we're going to have dinner. We're going to put our phones down. We're going to take our walk in the morning. Whatever your things are, do it and start talking.
Turn the Panthers game off, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, another viewer asks, what are the best ways for people age 50 plus to meet? I like this question.
That one too. I'm over 50, so I get it. I'm married. But anyway, the thing, a lot of people are meeting in pickleball.
Oh, okay, so I was right. Pickleball.
Pickleball, is that what you were thinking too?
Well, yeah,
That's
and then you
a
could say,
good
get out of the kitchen.
Yeah. The kitchen. That's right. And still apps, I see a lot of people falling in love using the apps when they're older, so they're not all bad.
Well, and I think you would agree, right? If you're doing something that you enjoy and that's how you meet someone, hiking, the pickleball, tennis club, what have you. Okay. If you're tired of swiping, what's the best way to old school date? Oh my gosh, they're calling me in person old school. Okay. Advice.
Okay, the biggest thing, get somebody to set you up. I mean, that's like tried and true. Somebody who knows somebody, or family's uncle's cousin, or, there's 6 degrees of separation before you know it. That's always the best. But go out with a girlfriend. There's great restaurants that have dinner nights. Speed dating, it's real and it's fun. People do it.
That's one of the best scenes from Hitch, probably. So good. Okay, Julian Chandler's got a question. Dating apps are so popular. How do you know the person you're talking to is real and not a catfish or a scam?
That's so scary. Well, that's kind of where you could do also the FaceTime type of thing, just to try to see them. Do the numbers match? Get out there and start slow, like I said, with a coffee, or you can do a little background looking.
Yeah, we had one of our coworkers said, how weird is it to hire a PI if you're really interested in somebody? I think that's true love. I think that's a great tool.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. I think this is a lot of great advice. Any last tips for people out there?
Have fun. And it doesn't matter, male, female, whatever's going on. If you want to, get somebody to go out on a date, ask them out.
Just ask them.
Just do it.
And there's so many activities these days too, especially with summertime. Like go catch a movie, maybe a shorter one. My husband said, hey, we'll play 9 holes of golf. If we're having fun, we'll play 18.
We'll play 18.
he wasn't going to commit to 4 hours.
Hey, he's being honest.
Exactly.
Honesty's the best policy.
It sure is. Take that. That's your takeaway. All right, our in-studio guest tomorrow will be an attorney taking a legal deep dive into the top local and national cases making headlines. You guys, you can still send your texts, or your questions rather, to Juliana, though, if you'd like. And still to come right after. Right now, it's important more than ever to get the word out about best practices when you're around water. So joining me live in studio is the president of the National Drowning Prevention Alliance, Michelle Long. Thank you so much for being here. You're here to share some reminders with everybody to stay safe. We know the most common misconception is really, it can't happen to me. So along with the ABCs of water, what's something that we can do right now to keep tragedies like this from happening?
I think the first thing is to know that it can happen to you. And so from there, you're going to take different steps, the layers of protection, because it's not just one step, but you have to have those multiple ones in place. We see that 70% of drownings for children 1 to 4 happen at non-swim times.
And I asked you earlier to elaborate on that. 70% of these drownings at non-swim times. Could you elaborate for our viewers?
That's the time when parents think the child is down for a nap, or they're in a playroom, they're doing something quiet, watching TV, doing something
tablet,
like that.
Whatever.
That type of thing. And yes, and so the parents could be busy cooking dinner, doing laundry, something, but you have to have those layers of protection. That's the security on the doors, the high locks, making sure they stay locked, even alarms on the doors, locking your doggy doors. I know it's super important for animals, but you need to make sure that because if a dog can get through, so can a child.
Exactly, at what cost?
Yes.
Keep it locked.
And the interior pool fences make a huge difference, because that gives you the time, in case you lose track of a child, where to go first is the water. Yes. And then just even some of the smaller things, closing your toilet, making sure bathtubs are emptied.
Yeah, exactly. So the things in the home that can also pose a threat to drowning for kids, especially the young ones. I know a lot of the suggestions that we tell people, again, the ABCs, and that's, having an adult supervision and barriers and knowing CPR. Those suggestions are great prior to a day of swim. What can parents and guardians do after a day of swim to make sure that safety hazards are removed and we can lessen the risk?
It's important that you're removing all toys from the area. Anything that can be pulled up to a pool fence, whether it be a chair or some kind of
toy bin.
Right, anything like that, a child can climb on to get over a fence to a pool. So you want to get everyone inside, you want to make sure you're counting heads, that door is locked, taking them out of their swimsuits, and then letting everybody know that they're going to be staying in the house. And then again, making sure there's that supervision.
Exactly. I know in your 24 years of experience, you've been on a number of these calls. You've also worked with the crews who have to show up to these horrible situations. What's the one takeaway you want to share with the viewers just for best measures as we enter summer season hardcore?
Well, I think for any emergency responder, from what I'm hearing, is that these are the worst calls. Because parents, it's very emotional for them. It's an extremely highly emotional scene, going to the emergency room. It impacts everybody. It's not just that one family. This impacts family, extended family, neighbors, schools, the whole emergency scene, everything with that. And these don't go away. These are hard, difficult calls for our crews.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Michelle Long with Mesa Fire and Medical. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow our YouTube channel for more content and watch the Ask the Expert segment weekdays at 4 p.m. and right here on our 12 Plus app.